Welcome back to Dominant Mets Nation. Well. Today we've had some news. We've had some news. Kodai Senga, not great news. But you know what, Mets fans? Don't hang your heads. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, even with such bad news as Kodai Senga potentially being out for the entire year. We're gonna go over that. But first, I just want to thank everyone, as always, a part of this channel. We are in this together. We all love our baseball. We all love our New York Mets. So I really appreciate all the great comments, likes, all the new subscriptions. Keep them coming. If you're brand new and you're just watching this, thank you. I appreciate it. Stay tuned. Subscribe. We love our Mets here on this channel. We love baseball. Okay, so this video is we're going to touch on quite a few topics. Okay, at the end of the day, we have David Stearns. David Stearns has shown thus far to be extremely competent. He has, whether it's getting a backup catcher, whether it's getting a couple good quality relief pitchers, he has shown to be able to, on the margins, get incrementally better, right? He has shown to get incrementally better. Now, since Kodai Senga has been injured and possibly out for the entire year, there is a big challenge on his plate, a huge challenge. In fact, him and Carlos Mendoza today and Mets brass were discussing a possible new strategy. That new strategy being, are we going after a starter? Is that in the cards? Is it going to be a Garret Crochet? Is it going to be a Jamison Tyone? There's a couple other options we could go through as well, but is that going to be the option? Most likely, a Garret Crochet is going to require top prospects. Is that the route we want to go? Plus, Garret Crochet has a couple other, I would say he's made demands that I've heard people say, I understand his demands. I don't understand his demands. I may be hard-headed. I'm referring to the fact that Garret Crochet this year has pitched more innings than he has in his entire career. So he's saying that no matter what team he goes to, that he needs to sign a long-term contract if you want him to pitch in the postseason. Okay, the guy, in my opinion, has some nerve. You want to go to a new team and right off the bat, that's going to be your introduction. Give me the money. Now, us New York Mets fans, we've had our personal experience. We can relate to this the most. We've seen our guy, Matt Harvey, pitch through some injuries, and then his career went south, right? His career went south. So it really makes me think right now. You have a guy who's pitched more innings than he has in his entire career, and he's done phenomenal. He has done phenomenal. I give him all the credit in the world, but this is not football. This is not the NFL. You can't make a demand. You can't say, pay me or I don't play. That's not how it works. That is not how it works. And if any team does that, we would be setting a new precedent in baseball, because right now he's under his current contract right now. And you have to honor that. This is how the baseball works. When you come up, you have 6 years before you become a free agent. Once you become a free agent, then you negotiate. Right now, you have no negotiating power. In fact, the only thing you do is screw the team you're on, because the package that they would be getting is going to be smaller because of your word. Unless you want to stay with the team you're on. Maybe that's the thing. But the guy right now seems like, if my team is about chemistry, and the Mets, we are all about chemistry. We are all about chemistry. We're all about good vibes, good feelings. And I want a guy who's all about me. I want mine. Do I want that? I've had that already with Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander. I've had that with the Mercenaries. How has that worked? Not so good, right? Not so good. That was just last year where we had our dumpster fire. I don't want to go back to that. I know he's a talented young pitcher, but attitudes, if they're not good, they spread to other players. I don't like that. I don't like that. Okay. All right. So that's my feeling on him. And if it somehow gets settled, then I would go to step two, and step two would be what is the value placed on him? How much prospects will we have to give? But that big hurdle of him not pitching in the playoffs until he gets a contract, that's a huge hurdle that I'm not sure that I can even overcome. I'm not sure if the Mets can overcome that. Okay, so that's my thing about Garret Crochet. What do you think about that? Is that a hurdle that you wouldn't, you would let block the trade, or would you try to negotiate around that? Okay, so number two, and I've been thinking about this for days. And the thing I've been thinking about, and everybody's been asking, what do you think about the Mets getting another bat in the outfield? That being Starling Marte. He's been often injured. Obviously, if he was healthy, it'd be a different story. We know we have the emergence of Jeff McNeil. Jeff's been playing a lot better. But the thing is, we need that extra stick, right? Everybody's been saying we need that extra stick. Marte's a talented guy when he's healthy, and he's not there. Now, I was on the fence, right? Because I'm like, if I have assets and prospects, do I want to use those assets to acquire more hitting talent, a talent of our team? Our offense is already a top offense in all of Major League Baseball, right? Do I want to use my assets to get better the offense, which was already phenomenal? So I've been thinking about that aspect. And at the end of the day, I do. And I'll tell you why. Number one, I already mentioned Starling Marte. You don't know his predicament, right? Number two, your best hitter in the middle of the lineup, Pete Alonso, is the most inconsistent hitter on your entire team. If Pete Alonso was having a normal Pete Alonso year where he's going to hit 45, 50 home runs, when he's batting closer to 250, 260, you know what? I really wouldn't think twice. But I'm very, very concerned about the middle of my lineup. I'm ultra concerned. So if I can pick up a good hitter to take the role of Marte, I'm going to explore it right now. Of course, we're going to have to look at value because Stearns is extremely good at assessing value, but I would look at it. And the two players that have been at the forefront of a lot of chatter are one, Michael Conforto, and number two, Jesse Winker. Out of those two guys, I personally favor one of them. I'm going to go over the reasons why, but one of those guys, in my opinion, has a clear-cut advantage, and let's get into that. I don't think it's going to be what you think, but let's get into like really the numbers and how these guys would impact our club and why I want to pick one guy over the next. So I'm going to share my entire screen with you, and we're going to go over Jesse Winker first. Now, this year, as compared to Michael Conforto, they're having basically a very similar year. Both in they're both going to be free agents next year. So this is both short-term moves. Jesse Winker this year has a WAR of 2.0. He has 11 home runs. He's batting 253. He has 44 RBIs. He's got 14 stolen bases. Not bad. But this is what I like about Jesse. He's got a 372 on base. He's got a 788 OPS and a 128 OPS plus. So he's 28 points above the league average. If you go to his career numbers, and the thing I do like that stands out, he's a 369. So he's a 370 on base guy. The guy gets on base. He's an 810 OPS, and he has a 119 OPS plus, which coincidentally is the same as Michael Conforto. Okay, so, Jesse had his most successful time in Cincinnati. He had some really great years. On base percentages in 2018 of 405, in 2020 388, 394 in 2021. So this guy definitely is extremely good at getting on base. He's good at drawing walks. So those are what he does well. Now, Michael Conforto, who we're all familiar with this year, has 10 home runs, 40 RBIs. He has a 226 batting average, so it's much lower than Jesse. His on base is 349, which is about 20 points lower. His OPS is 802, which is a couple ticks lower, and his OPS plus this year is 105, which is a lot lower than Jesse. It's about 20 points lower. Now, if you go to their baseball savant pages, the thing that stands out about Jesse, like I mentioned before, his on base, his base on ball is 97th percentile here. This is why he has a high on base. His chase percentage, he doesn't chase. 97th percentile, he does not chase. His whiff rate is also high. It's almost 70%. Squared up percentage, 64. And then these other categories are not the best. The thing that I look at that I'm a little worried about is bat speed. Bat speed is quite low. It's actually a new statistic. Baseball Savant never kept record of bat speed until recently. So his bat speed is something that has to be worked on. Has to be worked on. But the fact of the matter is Jesse Winker is a good piece. He also has a good arm value. Arm value is 96. His arm strength is not as strong as Michael Conforto. That's in the 68th percentile. And despite him stealing like 14, 15 bags, he's only in the 18th percent in sprint speed. So he's doing a lot with little with sprint speed. Okay, so those are Jesse's advanced numbers. Michael, conversely, arm strength, as I mentioned, his arm strength is a little stronger. He's in the 85th percentile. His base on ball, Jesse's in the 97th. Michael is in the 60th. His bat speed, I mentioned Jesse is only in the 17th percentile. Michael's in the 68th percentile. Chase is a lot lower. Whiff is a lot lower. So you're looking at two guys, and I'm telling you this right now, and I'm going to go through a couple of reasons why. I'm heavily leaning towards Jesse Winker. I think he's a better fit for this team, this moment right now. We don't need Michael Conforto to come in here and be a three-hitter like he did in the past. We don't. We need a guy who will supplement our lineup, who will get on base, who will fit in the situation in the outfield where we need him to fit. The thing with Michael and the thing that I worry about is Michael's a guy who was very and I want to say this the nice way because, I know we have a lot of Michael Conforto, but he was a guy who got in his head. He really did. And I think coming back to New York would put an extreme lot of pressure. I know you could say he's got unfinished business, but I don't think it's a good fit right now. I think you get Jesse. Jesse is a guy who's a lot more of a disciplined hitter, despite them being around the same age. Jesse's a more disciplined hitter right now, in my opinion. So I would want Jesse. He doesn't have the pressure that Michael would have. Plus, also, I'm not sure the clubhouse dynamic. I'm really not. Let me just fix the screen. Okay, so all right, we got back on a bigger screen. So the clubhouse dynamic with Michael Conforto and Jesse Winker. Michael Conforto, a couple years ago, the problem was there were a lot of clicks on this team. There were a lot of clicks, players just going, three or four guys in their corner, three or four guys in another corner. We are not that same group of guys. I'm not sure Michael Conforto's relationship with Pete Alonso would help Pete Alonso. I'm not sure his relationship with Jeff McNeil would help Jeff McNeil. I think these guys have to be in it for the same reason. Michael coming here trying to prove something. It's not about Michael Conforto. It's not about Michael Conforto. Right now, it is about the New York Mets. I believe Jesse is that perfect piece to come here to contribute to what we need. Not, I don't need the guy coming in trying to raise the expectations or unfinished business. It's not about one person. It's about 25 guys. It's about 40 guys. It's about us fans, and that's my opinion why I would choose Jesse. And those are my reasons. If you feel different or if you agree, let me know. Drop a comment, continue to like and subscribe. But those are my opinions. We're going to, and I just want to let you know, We need another bullpen arm. We definitely need another bullpen arm. The guy that I'm highlighting on, especially since, recently we've seen a lot of moves made by this team, is I am highlighting heavily Tanner Scott. Now, Tanner Scott is on the Marlins. He's a relief pitcher. He's a lefty. He's a dominant guy. He's a guy going into his free agent season next year. And I'm actually going to go over some of his advanced numbers, his numbers. I mean, Tanner Scott is a guy that I would love to add in this bullpen, especially a guy from the left side. Putting him on the other side with Stanek and Diaz, that would be electric. Just so you know, Tanner Scott this year, he's a 30-year-old guy. Actually, he's 29 at the moment. He's got a 3.2 WAR. He's 6-5 with a 1.18 ERA. He's got a 1.007 WHIP. Nasty. 18 saves. He's got a 10.4 strikeout per nine. Now, this is a guy you would have to give up more value for, obviously. You have the Yankees bidding for this guy. You have a lot of teams right now bidding for this guy. The Marlins just made a trade. They traded Jazz Chisholm to the New York Yankees. Honestly, I'm not really sure. People are saying all-star, dynamic, electric player. Maybe in Yankee Stadium he does better, but the fit, in my opinion, is a little obscure. It's a little bit of an awkward fit. I know we're not analyzing the Yankees, but God bless them. It seems like another below average player right now. You're going to ask a lot for. Maybe he does better in Yankee Stadium, but Yankees, you can have him. Plus, he's not the best clubhouse guy from what I've read. Okay, so the Mets right now have to keep adding to the bullpen. Tanner Scott is that dynamic lefty. I would love Tanner Scott. I've heard other things people are saying about Aroldis Chapman, but Aroldis Chapman is on the Pittsburgh Pirates, so them still being in the wild card hunt is really making that a little more difficult, unless you really blow them away. And, if I'm going to blow a team away, I'd rather get a guy like Tanner Scott at this moment in time. Okay, so those are my opinions on the pen. Now, like I mentioned early in the video, we have other guys we can go after. We can go after Jameson Taillon for, starting pitcher. I'm not sure. I'm not really sure what my plan would be, because I'm not really sure if I would evaluate the guys who are available as that much better as compared to what we have. So I'm still really kind of evaluating the starting pitching market. I didn't think we would have to explore that. The only guy I was really exploring and evaluating at the moment was Garret Crochet. So I'm going to get back to you on that. Today, as mentioned again, the Mets lost 4-0 to the Atlanta Braves. But I just got to say, this is one of those games that you really have to tip your hat to the opposing pitcher. The opposing pitcher on the Atlanta Braves, he was really electric. Really, Spencer Swellenbach. In 7 innings, he struck out 11 guys, and, he was mixing up pitches, slider, fastball. He was nasty all day long. Ask JD Martinez. JD did, JD was still probably messing with JD's head. So, those are the type of games that, you have. That's why getting a guy, a discipline, this is another reason why I convinced myself getting a guy like Jesse Winker, a guy who's disciplined, a guy who, will not offer at these tough pitches. That's another reason. Now you put Michael Conforto, a guy who's anxious, a guy who wants to prove himself, a guy who has that extra pressure, that extra weight on his shoulder. Who would you rather have in that situation? A guy who has light, no pressure, who's new, who gets on base, who, it's the approach. I believe we need the Jesse Winker, approach. And that's why I'm leaning on him. And this is the type of game that's like, yeah, we need that extra offensive guy. We need, especially if our pitching is not going to be elite, we might as well always have an elite offense. So the Braves today, they had 3 solo shots. Good for them. They got a win. I believe they haven't got a win in the last 6 games, but tomorrow we come out, we win the game, we take 3 out of 4, and we go into the trade deadline as one of the hottest teams in baseball. And Carlos Mendoza, David Stearns, the front office, they get down to business, and we continue to improve this ball club. That's what we're going to do. We're going to continue to improve. All right, so we're getting to the end of the video, so I'm going to need you to like and subscribe. All right, yep, like and subscribe. I will speak to you very soon. We're coming up to the trade deadline, so we got a lot of exciting stuff. I will speak to you soon. Let's go Mets, and we'll talk.